fam? Welcome back to another episode of Glue Pod, man. It's your boy TB. Um, Sorry for the wait, but we back. We got a special guest with us today, man. So, man, a former great teammate of mine and an even better person, man, full of accolades, man. Three-time Conference USA champion, um, defensive player. Well, first team all defense. We call him the master lock. Led the team in steals his last year, and he do it on and off the court too, man. Made honor roll, Conference USA honor roll, I think with like a 3.5 GPA, and he also served. He got what was that? He was awarded the Conference USA Winter Spirit, so he's serving. I don't know what that is, but he got an award for it. So, but not to mention after all that, he's a walk on, y'all. I mean, he get it done. So you got to be wired different and do all that. But and last but not least, co-founder of the one and only Bleed Green TBT team, man. So without further ado, let's get him on in here. My boy JJ Murray, welcome to the Glue Pod. Finally got you. Good to have you, man. How you feeling, bro?
I mean, it's a Friday, so I don't think it's any better than that once you're working 9 to 5s. But I appreciate the intro, and I'm happy to be on.
Yeah, man. It's good. It's finally good to catch you. So I know you're busy now. But yeah, I forgot to also add that you were a could have been podcaster too, because people don't know, bro. Like we had this in the works.
Game changers.
Yeah, it was game. I was looking at the list of names earlier.
Yeah,
I had some bad ones. You had some really good ones. I had some terrible ones. Bro.
I don't think people would believe us. We had the artwork, we had everything kind of teed up.
Right.
I'm just offended that you didn't try to ask me about to be on the Glue. So,
bro, I told you was gonna be in the mix. You was gonna be in the process.
I would have been happy to co-host with you.
It's
all good though.
You know your schedule. You know how your schedule is. Now let's get straight into it, man. Let's go straight to recently. TBT. Let's talk TBT. So, you started the TBT Bleed Green team, and the past 3 years have been like simply game changing. Let's go with that. I mean, as far as like the first year we made it to semifinals. Next year we get to the finals, and then we kind of repeat and go back to the semifinals. So, what was how was that as far as like every year, like we kind of improved, and what was your thinking like going into making it though? Because I was there, like when you first kind of brought it up. So what was to that, bro?
No, yeah, that's a good question. So I guess just to start, right, the idea behind it really originally came. I think I was a sophomore at UNT, or I was in my second year, and DJ, it was his senior year, and we were watching the TBT in the summer, and we saw Marshall's heard that team, obviously with some of the same guys that we played with or played against the previous year. And we thought, like, man, that if they can do it, right, it's a pretty cool tournament. It's in the middle of the summer, right? So there's nothing else, on TV. And we competed against those guys and they had success. So we thought, like, man, that would be pretty cool. And one day we could, potentially also be in their shoes.
Mm-hmm.
So shortly, after I got done playing in 22, I was like, I knew my career was over. I still wanted to stay involved in the game. And so, I reached out to DJ, reached out to the TBT. And back then they had I think it was a little bit harder to be selected. They really looked at everybody's resume, especially if you were an alumni team. You had to have like a pretty rich basketball tradition. So before we even, made any further calls, we just wanted to make sure we had a shot. And then kind of going from there, they kind of gave us the blueprint on what we needed to do. And we kind of checked all the boxes. And, one of those things was, getting the players. And so obviously when we had a lot of success during our time at UNT. And we thought, like, why not just kind of carry over what we know wins, and just try to carry it over to this sort of format. And so that's what we call guys like all the guys that we played with, to try to get this thing off the ground. And that's kind of how we got going. And yeah, as you experience, right, it's a lot of fun to do during the summer. And it's almost like a basketball fix, right? For me, for DJ, for David and Miles, basically all the support, staff. It's a fix for us, right? We get to experience basketball, right, where we're heavily involved for a few weeks during the summer, and it's a lot of fun, right? And obviously, it doesn't hurt playing for $1 million. So
Right. I mean, I did not know that y'all had that plan that, before. Like, I didn't know that. Like, that's pretty dope. Yeah, and then y'all, kind of turned it to reality, and they're actually having success with it. So, I mean, that's dope, bro. Like, once you brought up that idea that you were
yeah,
planning on doing that, like, I was all for it because I was gonna be the first one. I'm like, shoot, sign me up for $1 million. And then I knew, like, with you you obviously know what it takes to win. I mean, you were a glue piece of our team, especially in the last year. So I knew getting guys was gonna be a little tricky,
yeah,
but you knew, like, exactly, okay, like, this is what we need, this is what it's gonna take. And I mean, you got the right amount of scoring, defending, and ball handling, playmaking for
yeah,
us to be able to, have success. But I mean, as far as like you and DJ putting that together, like, it was a lot of David as well. I want to give a shout out to David because
yeah.
David played a
Shout out to
huge
Dave.
part. I mean, he got the donors to pitch in as well. But I
Yeah.
mean, he was with us every step of the way. So, that's
Yeah.
my shout out today right there. I love you, bro. Like,
Really quick. Yeah, really quick on him too, right? We originally brought him on, right, to help, fundraise. And just he has his own business, outside of TBT. So we just kind of wanted his, feedback and insight on, what's worked for him, what hasn't worked for him, because that's essentially what it is in a way. And to his credit, man, he was as invested as anybody, right?
right,
And it just shows you, right, how you do anything is how you do everything, right? Like, he's ran his own business and he treated that like a business, and he poured everything into it. And for me and DJ, I think we can both say that, like, just basketball aside, we learned a lot from him. Just how he goes about his business, right? And I think that was a cool part about it too. So
right.
yeah, shout out to Dave.
Man,
He
yeah, shout out Dave, man. We love you, bro, for real. So for all the people that don't know, let them know now. Will there be a bleed green TBT team this year?
Unfortunately, we will not be participating this summer. Those are tough phone calls to make. But we originally did this, right, to honestly to you know provide the university, provide the basketball program a little bit more exposure to build off the momentum that we helped create during our time there, and just keep pushing the program forward. And then obviously once you have success, it turns into, like, wait a second, we have a real opportunity, to get it done, right? And from 22, when we our first year, to now, right, TBT has changed. Well, a couple landscapes have changed, right? The college basketball landscape has changed since then,
For
and then
sure.
the TBT landscape, as far as their business model, and how teams, the requirements from teams to participate has also changed. So I think those two things simultaneously have made it a little tricky. And then you just add in, between me and DJ, David's retired, so he was itching. But
Yeah.
for us personally, right, we're advancing in our careers, and also have personal commitments and things like that that we're obligated to. And so with all those things kind of happening at once, we wanted to just take a step back, let this year play out this summer, and then hopefully in the future we can give it another run. But yeah, we just thought this year it didn't make sense for us to do that. And so yeah, regardless of maybe any coaching changes or anything like that people may think affected the decision was made before that. So yeah, unfortunately, we're not going to be running back, but
Oh,
hopefully, it's not the end.
yeah. Hopefully, the future is near to where we can start it back up and have another chance. At making life change and money for for some of us. So that'd be a
Yeah,
good opportunity, and I love to do it. With y'all again. So, but moving on, man. Let's get to your time at UNT. But first, let's get to you not getting a scholarship, going
yeah,
to UNT, being a walk on. And, I was thinking about like how mentally tough and I mean, you obviously not, you're not the average Joe, bro. Like, cause a lot of people are not able to have the bandwidth to be able to say, well, I don't have a scholarship. Um, what what's next? Do I really love the game that much? And I have to, spend my time and split it really or give more like to school. And you're an engineer, bro. Like you majored in engineering, like, and to be able, it was nice to where, you know, I used to come in y'all apartment. You were out cold, like you did homework, or you sometimes still hit
yeah,
the gym, like you were still like uh dedicated to still like getting work in and going to the gym. And which honestly, bro, like if I was in your shoes, like could I have done that? I don't know because it's just like a whole totally different life. So I mean, it's a respect thing for sure because I didn't even know you at the time really when I first got there, but I knew you were walk on and automatically with my frontal lobe wasn't even developed yet, but I knew like he's different though. So it's like yeah, it's a respect thing, bro. So what went into that to where you didn't get a scholarship, but you still want to compete at the highest level and have a chance to be able to get to that point.
yeah. So my decision to come to UNT would probably require a whole separate podcast. So
Yeah.
I'll save the audience that story. But I guess long story short, um, coming out of junior college, my dream was always to play in the NCAA tournament.
Hmm.
And so obviously there's only one way to do that, and that's to play at the Division 1 level. Obviously, at that time, I had a kind of one track mind. There's I learned kind of throughout my time in college that like there's multiple routes and multiple ways to get there. But for me, I didn't see it that way. And so, I had offers from pretty much every level, not Division 1 coming out of junior college. And so my only path was to walk on. So I ended up at UNT, and I don't know. I think it helped knowing that like DJ, was a former walk on that was put on scholarship. So I knew while we were different players that if I put the work in, that there was a staff that would reward me for that. And so I don't know. It's like I'm a big believer in how you do anything is how you do everything, right? So um, I try to just kind of have tunnel vision. Um, and it's hard to do, right? They say you can't have your cake and eat it too.
Hmm.
I remember meeting with the advisors, and they highly advised me not to pursue engineering given the schedule constraints. And I kind of went against that, and I just you got to sacrifice something, right? People always talking about life balance, right? Between sleep, between your social life, between your hobbies, between work, which for us as athletes, right, it's practice and gym workouts, things like that. So for me, I mean, one of those things I had to sacrifice was sleep, right? So I didn't as much as maybe you saw. I didn't sleep that much, so that's just the one thing that I sacrificed. And I wasn't the most physically gifted player, so For me, it was like I had to work harder, right? If I had an advantage, it was being the highest competitor and working the hardest, right? And you never know if it's going to work out or if it's going to pay off, but I know if you do put the time in and you're consistent, then you won't live with any regrets, right? And yeah, my competitiveness is something that I pride myself on. And with my favorite player being Kobe Bryant, it was pretty easy to kind of emulate his mindset. And so that's kind of what, got me to the point to where, I was a walk on, and then just my mindset and how I approached being a walk on to get to where I got. So a lot of things that went into it.
So you eventually, after taking what was those? What was that? 2 years,
Yeah.
and eventually end up getting a scholarship to full basketball scholarship, which is a beautiful thing to see because I mean everybody knew how hard you worked in practice. I mean, you guarded. We had the player of the year on our team. I mean, you were just in him like a flea, like you were on him. Like, and there were days where you guys end up in there fighting some days. So I mean, everybody knew like that what you were bringing every day and what you sacrificed and how each day like mattered. Like you made each day matter. I mean, because you didn't waste any time to what you wanted to get to. So, I mean, just for all the kids out there that didn't get a scholarship and that's thinking about walking on now because now it's a completely different time. But for kids that still think about doing it, like throw some advice out there for them. Like what would be your thing to them?
Yeah, it's tough, right? I think now I don't know with NIL. I don't know how many universities are doing walk on spots now. I think now they're doing like full scholarships for 15 guys. So yeah, so I don't know. It'll be tough for this to be applicable to the current college basketball landscape, but I would just say anyone who has a goal, has a dream, and is it doesn't there's not a clear path there, and there's not a clear vision. Um, I would just say, I mean, obviously work hard every day. It's pretty cliche, but it was what was told to me, and it's the advice that I heard from Kobe Bryant. But then also like you got to kind of take responsibility for your opportunities, right? So I wouldn't leave any stone unturned. Reach out to every coach you can. Reach out to um, every friend, family member, and let them know kind of where your plan is, because um, that will allow you to basically have any opportunity that is available within your network, right? It'll be there, right? So that'll be my thing. Is just obviously control what you can control, and stay true to your goals. Don't waver from those, and then understand that there's multiple ways to get there, right? There's not a single way to get there. So just because you have to maybe take a shortcut or take a different route than you planned doesn't mean you can't get to your ultimate goal. So that's what I would say. And you know obviously be flexible.
Mm-hmm.
um, so I'm always a big believer is like you gotta have long term goals. You got to be firm in those goals, but you got to be flexible in how you get there. So uh, that's what I would say.
Yeah, Mister Beat the Odds himself. I mean, just explained it perfectly because uh, as many times as people will try to say, um, hard work, working hard. I mean, it's a real thing. I mean,
Yeah,
I watched it myself with you, so I mean, uh, you could inspire a lot of people. I mean, that when they hear a story, but I know it's a longer story because I know you went through a lot to get there, but what you just said to kind of break it down for people that's going through the same thing. But so after you got your scholarship, uh, you you improve, your game improved gradually throughout the years. Shooting improved, you start getting more time, and then you start becoming known as the Master Lot. Um, I think you really got that name against UAB when we won out at the buzzer. I mean, you guarded the potentially player of the year. I think he was in a running, and Walker. And I mean, he's a volume shooter, but it was hard for him to even get shots up. I watched the game not too long ago again just to really see what I was watching, and it was like a Mister 94 feet special. Because I mean, as soon as we scored, you were right there on them like glue, and I feel like that jump started you like to where teams were aware, and even before that, um, going back going back to when you first started getting minutes, they threw you in, and I think that's when it really your confidence was boosted, and the next year your one of your dream or one of your goals when you got to UNT, we made the NCAA tournament. So how was that? How was that feeling making the tournament, bro? Like the first time.
Yeah, really quick to go back to one of your points on getting the scholarship. Um, I mean, my favorite thing is seeing like from other schools, right, or universities where you know athletes get awarded scholarships. They're always pretty cool stories. When I got mine, right, I hadn't played, right, so it was a little different than maybe in basketball at least, where guys maybe because of injury, because of red shirts, or just earn minutes right the season before they get a scholarship. I hadn't really played, so when I got my scholarship, it was almost like I didn't want people to make it feel like it was a feel good story, right? Like I was just getting a scholarship because I was working hard in practice. I wanted to prove that like I earned the scholarship and that I could play at that level, right? I wasn't ever satisfied, and it helped me kind of work harder. So being on scholarship, and then I got thrown in against Mississippi State, right, at Mississippi State. So it wasn't like I was thrown in against I don't want to disrespect any schools, but
No,
it's not
Mississippi
like I
State's a really good school, bro. Like
yeah. So it wasn't like I was
really good team.
thrown in at a lower level school and played well and like that earned me minutes, right? I was thrown in SEC on the road, and then the following game we had West Virginia. So um, it's just one of those things where like I'm a big believer in the harder you work, the luckier you get, and I think when you truly earn something, when you get your opportunity, you'll be ready for it.
Hmm.
So I didn't feel like anything was given to me, and I mean, if you just look at the box score, you don't think like I played great, and I didn't even think I played that great. But it's all about how you fit right into a team, and that was one thing that I learned in the 2 years that I set is figuring out what the team needed, right, and I was able to, in the coach's eyes, fulfill some of those needs. And from there, we went on, and that was a COVID year. So, we it was a weird year with just the COVID quarantine protocols, all those different things. But we had an up and down year. Started really well in conference, and then we finished the conference. As you know, we were playing back to back conference games, and then finished. We didn't finish well against UAB, and then going into that conference tournament was a lot of fun. Not no, Obviously not realizing that we had to play 4 games in 4 days, but just the when you playing for opportunity to go to the NCAA tournament, like you can't beat that. And yeah, I mean, everybody knows the story, right? 4 days, 4 wins, punched our ticket, and yeah, like I said, it was a dream come true for sure.
So during that time though, where we had to play those, you know, 4 games in 4 days, what was your mentality like going into those games, and
Yeah,
was your thinking, and how can you impact winning?
just I mean, for me, it was one game at a time, and just kind of lock in on the scout reports on my assignment and control what I could. Um, and that's kind of just was my mindset. Obviously, I had a lot of trust and faith in who we were going to war with, and when going through what we had went through the last 2 years together, um, I was, like I said, I was really confident in our group and our makeup, and I think we all wanted the same thing. And whenever that's the case, right, I think you know there's no limitation on what you can accomplish. So yeah, I wasn't, I'm always gonna think we can win, right? Like
Yeah,
there's
for sure.
no matter who we're playing, so that's never the issue. But obviously, there's a preparation element to that, and it does matter, right, who you're going into those games with, because we all want the same thing, right? And when games get tough, you got to trust the guy next to you and know that he's going to do his job. And so for me, if I know that, then it's really easy for me to do what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah. And after we won those 4 games in 4 days, we advanced the tournament, ended up playing Purdue, and was able to get one of the biggest wins uh, in the history of UNT. So I mean, Jesse, you're a legend, bro. Like I'm pretty sure your city, like people recognize that.
I would I would say that. I mean, I get the chills thinking about it because, yeah, I mean, we were on national TV and we weren't just happy to be there, right? I think that's a common theme with like universities, like in our shoes, and um, I think it just attests to the mindset that we had, right? Like we fully believed that we were going to win that game, and yeah, whenever people talk about the NCAA tournament, it's what it's cool to say like, oh, I played in the NCAA tournament, but like we weren't just happy to be there. Like we actually won in the tournament, right? So I think that holds a little bit more weight than if we had just made it and bowed out in the first round. To be honest, it still would have been cool, right? And
Yeah,
still
for
something that,
sure. It lets you know that you were actually you were there for a reason. Like you didn't
yeah,
come to play around. And I think we took it seriously. I wouldn't say Purdue even like took us lightly, but
no,
we simply just outplayed them, and we played as a better team. And we had the right guys and guys that wanted to win. So I mean, it makes sense though with you. Um, as far as we got with the Bleed Green team, and uh,
yeah,
you took what you learned from UNT. We had a super coaching staff, and it's kind of instilled in all in us of how we play, how we grind, and how we practice. I mean, that's really a lifestyle now. I mean, you had it before you even came here, but you even added on to that even more. And I mean, like mentally, um, it makes you like even better as a player and as a person. So I mean, honestly, I do want to thank our coaching staff like right now. Like, 'cause, I mean, them dudes played a big part in in basketball, not just basketball, but on and off the court. So I mean,
yeah, yeah. I mean, individually, I think we all had the same kind of work ethic, competitiveness. But I mean, yeah, to your point, we got to give that staff credit because I know you can probably agree. Like I learned so much of just about what playing winning basketball really means.
hmm
And so when you like combine the two, right, the work ethic, the mindset that we have individually with like their skill set and their abilities as coaches to build that culture, build that winning mindset. um I mean it was a perfect combination, and yeah, I learned so much from those guys, and that even helps me in my career now. So
right,
it's, yeah, those guys, forever indebted to the experience I had there. And um, yeah, a lot of a lot of my approach to the game now and what I believe and what I understand, like wins basketball games, is because of what I learned from them. So yeah, for sure that they
yeah,
played a key part into it.
for sure,
Dream team.
right. And now, I mean, with what it is, in the situation college basketball is at now, um, you can't stay at one school for long if you
Yeah.
want to be competitive as a coach, I mean, as you know, and everybody else knows, our staff, our former staff, went their separate ways, and as we know, they're competitors. I mean, they want to give themselves the best chance to win, and NIL has played a big part in that. So kids are going to the schools that pays the most. So
Yeah.
how do you feel about with NIL being a part of the game now and kids getting so much money? How's that impacting? Do you think that's impacting their love for the game, or is it just getting watered down, or is it just more about the money? What's your take on that?
I mean, first, I think maybe you guys feel a little bit differently because you were probably better players and just Division One prospects. I'm happy, honestly, that it happened after my time because I don't think my story exists if that was the case. And then I don't think I have the relationships that I have today, right?
Right.
Obviously, with you, with the staff, with all of like Jay Ham, Reese, I mean Larry, Abdul, Z, like all those guys that I still talk to today. I don't think that really exists if NIL was a thing. So honestly, I'm grateful. And then as far as like the impact that it has today, I mean, I'm happy for the college basketball players. Like, if you have opportunity to make money, go do that. I don't necessarily know that it's best for your long term future. It's the same thing like once you graduate college, right? Like a lot of college graduates aren't, making the most money, right? Going into their career. And, I believe that you shouldn't early, especially early in your career, like you shouldn't make decisions about money because you can, be um, and you could put yourself in a very tough situation, or you can really affect the trajectory of your career. And so it's just about learning and soaking in as much as you can. And I think that should be the case. And you can do both, I guess, right? You can get paid and kind of learn and still make the right decision.
Yeah.
I just think it should just be kind of like a bonus or a plus. I think you should pick the school that's the best fit for you. And then obviously they'll have the money. And that's just kind of a bonus to your decision. So if it doesn't work out right, you made the right decision for yourself. It just didn't work out because of basketball, not because of you going to the highest bidder, and it wasn't a right fit. And then now, as you know, right, like I don't know, it's you need money, right? Like
Hmm.
don't get it twisted. So you need money to live comfortably, and then the older you get, you realize how much more important it is. But at the same time, right, like if you have money but you aren't happy with your situation, like it is fleeting, right? So you got to be careful with that. And like I said, I'm all for guys making decisions and moving to make that. They just need to understand that they could be hurting their future careers or their college careers. So that's just something that you got to live with.
Yeah, I wish the way you think dudes was thinking as noble as you, because dudes are looking at the dollar sign, man. I mean, it's really not even about fit no more. I mean, I respect it going to get money too, but that's kind of that's changing the game in a lot of ways. But because I know, I wish I could at least I would have took 5,000, JJ. I would have took some. I mean, man, I'm seeing the numbers. Like the numbers
Uh,
are serious. Like
yeah, no, they're serious. And I mean, for a lot of them, right? Like the reality is like that's the most money they're gonna see.
right.
So like you have a little sympathy for that. It's just honestly, it's just after that, right? Can you accept, right, making less money, right? Because it's
Mhm.
just a reality of it, right? You'll make less at least your first couple of years, unless you go to the NBA, you'll make less money. So
Right.
it's just making sure their mindset is just wired correctly for that reality. Because if it's not, right, like last thing you want to do is be at home and because of you picking the wrong school, or you know you just not wanting to take an offer, right, because it's not what you're used to getting, right?
Right.
So, um,
Yeah,
it's
we
tough.
just gotta pray for the game that we walking into now because it's different. But
But honestly, it creates an advantage, right, for everyone pre NIL,
mhm,
because you'll be more humble and um, yeah, I don't know. I think it's hard to keep keep your edge and competitiveness, right? Like I said, just dropping, right? It's just like anything, right? If you're used to making a certain amount of money and you drop down, like you got to make some sort of adjustment, either personally or your lifestyle or something. It's not going to be easy for these guys coming up now.
right. So as far as you getting your, so I know you still love the game. Um, what is TV? Will TBT be the only you know and forever last fix if you getting your basketball fix?
I mean,
Or what would be next? Like, would it be, would you ever think about coaching or, I know you
def-
got your career going right now, but what would
definitely not.
what would be that pathway for you, think?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, y- yeah, I mean, I wouldn't coach. I don't think that's kind of my path or my calling. I don't think. Um, but yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be opposed to being involved in basketball at some point in the future, in some sort of capacity. But it definitely
Mhm.
wouldn't be coaching. So I mean, right now we got a Monday hoops group here, at work, and that I play in. So that's kind of going to be my fix until I get involved with basketball in another capacity. But yeah, definitely not coaching. But yeah, I wouldn't turn down. I wouldn't say I'm looking for one, but I wouldn't turn down, or I would obviously strongly consider any future
Okay, so
basketball opportunity.
yeah, so okay, you would give it some thought, but it
Yeah,
wouldn't
for
be the
sure.
main goal. Okay,
Not
I
right
can
now.
respect
Not
that.
right now.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure, I can respect that, bro. So
yeah.
I mean, I guess if y'all need JJ to come hoop in on your Monday hoops group, he available on Mondays. Hit him up on Mondays.
Mondays only. I'll come play. I'll come play.
uh, Nah, yeah, man. We gonna go ahead and start wrapping it up, man. I appreciate you taking time out today. Kind of pod with me. I appreciate it. So appreciate all the viewers appreciate too, and you drop some gems and knowledge. Thank you. And I just want to say you have had a great career basketball wise, but what you're doing off the court is really special too. I mean, you're a special dude, and you 101, bro. So just keep doing your thing, man.
Man, thanks for having me on TV. Like I said, all time favorite teammate. Nobody I'll go. I feel more comfortable going into a foxhole with than you, man. And yeah, like I said, I, someone has asked me just if they were to describe you, how would I do it? And it'll be if he's in a fight with the bear, pray for the bear. So I believe that, like, truly, honestly, to my heart. So
Hey, one
uh,
TB versus 100 gorillas.
I don't know about that one.
Nah, yeah, man. Look,
Uh,
it's been a glue pie. It's your boy TB. Shout out JJ, man. We out.
all right.